These aren't the droids we're looking for.
You think? Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, awesome.
Do you realize what's going on here?
So 2013, January, in Naples, Florida, will be my 19th symposium. My first was in 1995, so I have been to 19 of 20 of the symposia. So you can see, for me, coming up with just one moment that stands out is pretty difficult. So I broke the rules. I'm picking two. The first happened in Cancun. They actually both happened in Cancun. The first was in 2005, and I was looking for Dr. Cohen. I needed to go over some material with him for the program the next day, and found out that he was out on the beach. So I walked out onto the beach to find Dr. Cohen sitting with Galip Gurel, Tony Rose, Neil Starr, and about a half dozen other of our members and directors. And they were engaged in a discussion so intense that in this beautiful surrounding that you wouldn't believe that this was happening at the Ritz-Carlton in Cancun. It was just one of those moments you had to stop and watch and not interrupt. The second actually happened in Cancun as well. It was in 2009, and we had asked everyone in the hotel to come out onto their balconies at about 9:30 p.m. And as they come out onto their balconies with a glass of wine or champagne and some hors d'oeuvres, they were treated to a serenade by Jeffrey Castle. Jeffrey Castle is a violinist, and you can imagine 5, 6, 7 stories of a hotel, balconies full of people, and a violinist with the beach and the moon behind him playing Jimi Hendrix, of all things. It was one of those experiences that gave me goosebumps.
So my favorite symposium memory would have to be being able to lead Mort Amsterdam through the Ritz-Carlton Ballroom, or into the Ritz-Carlton Ballroom, in the Palm Desert in 2000 on the Camelback. It was amazing. It was fun. It was spectacular to hear everybody just kind of whisper and go, who is that? Because Mort, Dr. Amsterdam, had his face covered with a scarf, and he had a sheik's gear on, and he was on this camel, and he was walking through the Ritz-Carlton, and the ballroom had been dark, and here's this animal taking up all of the space in the ballroom, essentially, of the aisle, and coming slowly and very dramatically through the ballroom, and people whispering, who is that? And finally, on the stage, he reveals himself, and he says, welcome to the desert. That's my favorite memory.
Well, there we were in Kapalua in Hawaii, and it was January of 2002. It had just followed September of 2001 and that horrible day in New York City. And the problem is, and of course in Washington, D.C., and the problem is that 9/11 left its mark on everyone in the country, and lots of corporations were canceling meetings everywhere. And they were just taking the penalties for not showing up. And we had our group probably the most registrations that we had ever had. And we, of course, were concerned about the attendance, but we decided that we were going to stick it out and we were going to have that meeting and go through with it. And as it turns out, most of the individuals who were signed up did join us in Hawaii. Well, what happens at all of our meetings is there's something called the pre-con. And the pre-con is a pre-conference meeting where we get together and we talk to all the departments in the hotel to make sure that everything is in place for a great meeting. And so everyone, including the general manager, is at that meeting. And the general manager got up, and I was sitting there with 2 or 3 others from our staff, and the general manager said, you know, if there's anything that we can do to help you or do anything for you during this week, we really would love to do it because of your commitment to the Ritz and doing this meeting. And I thought about it very quickly, and I remembered that I saw walking in the hallway about 2 or 3 days before that, the manager of the Yankees, and you know there was a big thing with Mayor Giuliani and Joe Torre, and related to the World Series and 9/11 and all that was going on. And so the first 2 words that came out of my mouth to that general manager were, Joe Torre. I wanted Joe to speak to our group. Now, I wasn't asking for much. All I wanted him to do was come out on stage and say hi to everyone, and just to get everyone to stand for the national anthem. Very simple. And so the general manager said, I'll see what I can do. And of course the meeting was the next morning, and I didn't necessarily expect that anything would happen. Well, at 6:30 in the morning, I got a call from the general manager, and he said, meet me at this particular area in 10 minutes, which I did, which was somewhere in the bowels of the hotel. And there was Joe Torre. And he was standing there, and I was standing there, and the general manager was standing there. And Joe said, you know something? I get $75,000 for a 55-minute speech, but I am going to say hello to the audience and do whatever you want me to do, because you are what America is about. And that is that you're not going to let the terrorists change your life. And so what happened was we had this group that was on stage performing, and I was standing on the side of the ballroom, and right outside the door from me was Joe Torre, and he was waiting for me to give him the okay to come out on stage, and he knew that I just wanted him for 20 seconds to say hi, and that was it. Well, I heard this little voice coming from behind the door, and as this act was performing, the opening act, I heard Joe behind the door saying, Dr. Cohen, Dr. Cohen. And I opened the door, and I just put my head through the door there, and there he was, and he said, is it okay if I say anything else? And I said, Joe, you say whatever you want. And so Joe Torre got up on stage and did about half of his keynote presentation, and it really was one of the greatest moments in Seattle Study Club Symposium history.
So you've heard some of our favorite moments, but there's no way that the few of us can try to capture and explain all the amazing things that happened over the past 20 years of symposia. And so we need your help. We would like to really commemorate this 20th anniversary by including your favorite moments. So when you have time, sit down in front of your computer, turn the webcam on, capture you telling all of us your favorite moment at Symposium. Save that, email it to us, and we would love to be able to utilize that on our Facebook page, on our website, or even to get that out to some of our members as well. So come on, Seattle Study Club friends, help us out in bringing this all together and commemorating this 20th anniversary symposium. We look forward to hearing all your favorite memories. Thanks.